Hello there, everybody. Welcome back. I'm here to be talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, this is the newest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and what makes this film really noteworthy is this is said to be the end of the current cast of Guardians as we know it, where, for one, the writer and director, James Gunn, who did the past two Guardians films, he has said this is his final movie, but not just with the Guardians, but pretty much with Marvel Studios, since he's moving over to be one of the heads of DC to try to help them get their stuff, up and running and reboot everything and all. And so he's going to be prioritized with that. And a lot of the cast has said that they're moving on. So this was like the last hurrah with this cast. And the plot follows the main bad guy of the film, the High Evolutionary, who does all these experiments on all sorts of creatures and animals and people. He wants to get one of his things that he feels like is rightfully his, which is Rocket Raccoon. We learn a lot about Rocket's origins. He wants Rocket to, for his own, evil purposes. He wants to kill him. And so the whole movie is the Guardians racing against the clock to not only save Rocket, but to also stop this maniac villain from destroying the universe, really. Like taking over and, perfecting everything in his liking. Now, this film, which I was really anticipated for because it's said to be the last with this group, and with how the movie plays out, I could definitely say it's probably the last with every single one of these characters. That's not to say that some of these characters will come back, but a good amount of them don't, probably are not going to be coming back. And watching this movie it kind of felt like an event for me. In terms of emotion, because Rocket Raccoon has been my favorite character. I love that he's given the main story thread going here because he's been my favorite character watching these movies. Like, he was up there with Iron Man for me as my favorite characters. And you learn a lot about his origins, where he came from. And it's one of the darkest, most tragic backstories, I think, for a character in the MCU. And just, I think in general, because the stuff that you see what he has been through is so traumatic and so messed up, and you just can't help but you want him to succeed, you want him to survive, you want him to win against this evil maniac. Which, by the way, this is where I really get into this, because the performances from a lot of the pretty much everyone is good. There's no bad performance in here. Chris Pratt, there's a scene in the movie where I think he gives his best performance of his career. It's phenomenal work. All of them are just great at their characters. Of course they're gonna be, but they all really knew, I feel that this was their last one. So I really appreciate that, even though a lot of them knew they were done and not coming back, they just went with it. They gave it their all. They were great in their respective roles. The standouts for me, I felt was obviously Chris Pratt did a terrific job in the movie. Bradley Cooper, who I think has always done a phenomenal job voicing the character of Rocket, while Sean Gunn does the motion capture for Rocket, who is also, he's in the movie as Kraglin. He was great. Everyone, there's new additions to the team. Kraglin is officially a full-on member, because in the first two Guardians he was part of the Ravengers with Yondu and all, so he was in the movies, but he wasn't a core member of the team. He's officially a full-on member here, which is really cool to see. You have a new addition like Cosmo the Space Dog. Now, some of these characters, don't get me wrong, more characters get more time to shine than others, but when none of them are a hindrance to the plot or story, and they all have memorable moments. Smaller additions like Cosmo the Space Dog, I thought the character was really fun, and just, it's a really cute dog, and I really liked there was this running gag with Cosmo and Kraglin, because they're kind of on they aren't part of the main team throughout the mission. They're just kind of sidelined until the end, but whenever it cuts to them, they have a little banter going on, and I really like that stuff between them. I love, my favorite character obviously was Rocket Raccoon, and the performance from Bradley Cooper was next level stuff. His voice work, because I think he did, I believe there was, for the small Rocket, it was a different voice, but for when the shit gets real and the near the end flashbacks, that's Bradley Cooper, I believe, and phenomenal work. even in present day with Rocket, is just like the stuff they were able to accomplish, the effects on a lot of these creatures. Like you see a lot of his cellmates like Lila, Floors, and Teeth. Like these are like really obscure characters from the comics, and I thought they were fleshed out enough to like help Rocket's story propel. And I just thought like the VFX on all of it was truly terrific. And this movie's really disturbing in a lot of aspects, especially if you're an animal lover. And there were parts where I kind of had to look down or look, like I just couldn't, like I watched the movie, but there were just some sections, like for a few seconds, I was like, I can't just watch it play out throughout because it was just so hard to watch. And that's not discrediting the movie because they wanted to go there. They wanted to show you how awful this villain was, which, by the way, the actor, I believe, I can't really pronounce the name. I'm so sorry. I don't want to butcher the name, but he is a terrific actor playing this character. And he was also in Peacekeeper, and he was really good in that show as well. So I'm really happy for him. He's starting to get more into mainstream, and I hope he gets more work because he was terrific. He was terrifying, and he was just a menacing villain. And it's one of those villains where there isn't a sympathy thing to see, well, that's why they're doing what they're doing. This guy's just a straight up monster, and we kind of need more villains like that. Just show us there's just some horrible people out there, and it's good to kind of just show that they're there. There isn't a sympathy thing or why they are the way they are. I do like that, but it's nice to go back and forth between different, what makes villains tick. And I just thought, like, I have to give shout out as well to Karen Gillan as Nebula because she was one of the best parts of this movie. And her arc, like the arcs of a lot of these characters when they first started in the first movie to now, is mind-blowing how far they've come as characters, and for their actors how far they've come for their performances. Because and I love the little references and nods that Nebula and Rocket are really good friends throughout the movie, because those were the two only Guardians from Avengers Infinity War that survived that blip, and they had those 5 years together. So I really like that they really emphasize on their really good friends. And there's this nice little nods and references to the first two movies, some sound beats, some soundtracks from the first movie and like from past Guardian stuff come in, and they're referenced here, and I love that. There are past sequences, like there's the action throughout the movie is I'm starting to gush, but I can't really think of a flaw in this movie. I know maybe I'm fanboying here, but this is just my honest reactions, because this movie, especially with the past couple Marvel movies not really doing it for me, this movie just really came out at the right time for me, because I love Marvel. Even if Marvel kind of slacks, I'll always love Marvel, but I'm going to be fair and critical on my opinion on these movies. So the fact that James Gunn was able to succeed and stick the landing, I was just so happy for him, and I'm just happy for everyone involved that we got to see one more adventure with these characters. And like everything was pretty much stellar for me. The performances, the effects, the soundtrack they had. My favorite soundtrack overall is probably the Guardians 2 one, but this was a fine soundtrack. I enjoyed it. The action sequences are pretty fun. It's a really hilarious movie in a lot of aspects. Each character had their own chance to shine. The performances all around were great. The VFX, like I was saying, was great. I enjoyed the music. There was this hallway sequence that was really terrific, and it shows like it was a one take, which we've seen in a lot of Marvel stuff before, where it pans around and it shows every character doing their own thing throughout the fight. And I was just really glad that we were able to see one last hurrah with these characters and this group. It meant a lot to me. And with all that said, those were all my thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Which, yes, I know it's a really high regard to get that score. And I adored this movie. I really respect what they were able to do and how dark they were willing to go to really show Rocket's story and just solidify he's one of the darkest and saddest arcs in the MCU. But I really respect and can admire that they were able to do that. And just, again, near flawless movie. I just thought it was really masterfully well done, and I adored it. So with all that said, those are my thoughts. If you would like to hit the subscribe button and the bell as well to get notified when I upload, please comment down below what did you think of this movie. Again, thank you all so much for watching. It means so much to me, and I'll catch you all in the next video. Bye.